The recent IG report indicates direct causes of corruption are dominant in government revenues, taxation, use of fees for public utilities, among others. Currently, the private sector is one of the biggest victims of the vice that covers beyond governance. Over 30% of private companies are paying bribes to public officials for service delivery. Not only has this undermined fair competition, but also stifled innovation and hampered investment.
Nearly 30% of companies in sub-Saharan Africa pay a bribe to private officials, public officials, to get things done. Unfortunately, that is what the study has shown. And in Uganda, in a 2020 study by the PPDA, I hope they're here or they're represented, on perceptions of corruption in public procurement, found that between 10 to 17% of the value of public contracts is paid to public officials as an inducement to get contracts. The same study indicated that nearly 70% of the public think that there is corruption in the award of public contracts. Corruption is very costly.
According to the World Bank annual rating, Uganda is ranked the 116th out of 190 countries in the corruption bracket, indicating a growing challenge for economic development. Bribes, for instance, in taxation, are estimated at 27 billion shillings cashed out to tax officials, causing a shortfall in income and indirect domestic taxes. Casitas Isasechito advises implementation of internal controls and anti-corruption measures.
We have seen so many players in the government issuing authority that is not authentic selectively. The incentives that are given, who vets them? Are they across the board? Do we have a common criteria for getting the waivers? Do we have same criteria for the treatment of goods? Do we make the laws without inducement? Do we go to cabinet and your issues are objectively received and analyzed, or some people call you after and then you discuss out of the meetings?
Political reforms are not conducive for this shift from corruption. However, proper implementation and enforcement of laws and regulations will help end corruption. Uganda, like any other developing country, is set for delayed development due to hindrances in economic growth by distorting market mechanisms, deterring foreign investment, undermining public trust, and diverting resources away from critical sectors such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure.
The political economy context in Uganda, or the political situation as it is such that formulating the right policies or implementing reforms alone is not enough to bring about the necessary change. Now, the way politics is organized and practiced in Uganda is not always conducive to the implementation of even the government's best policies or initiatives. Now, as you all know, as all of you may have heard, we in Uganda talk a lot about how the government is very good at policy formulation. They have very good policy documents. The problem is in failing to implement these policies.
Data-driven evidence-based information systems that provide a solid foundation for decision makers through analytical insights have been recommended to curb corruption. Projects linked to capacity and transparency have still been highlighted to point out loopholes in various organizations.
Really to improve transparency and reduce human contact, because it's clear that where people are involved, then corruption tendencies, the risk of corruption tendencies coming up is high. So what we do is we are promoting and supporting building the capacity of the private sector to embrace the digital tools that have been put out by government, the e-procurement, the EGP system, so that a number of companies can be able to enroll on that system, and then supporting them to really be able to embrace that. But also we are working with NITA Uganda to improve accessibility to digitalized services.
The economy remains vulnerable to corruption, even with the various economic and political reforms being put to diversify development. Both the private and public sector are expected to tackle the underlying factors and implement reforms to promote transparency, accountability, and good governance. Nimusiima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.